Welcome back to Prison Yard TV. Today, I'm going to continue doing my penitentiary games videos about all the penitentiary games people play in there. As you can see in the thumbnail, I could go on. I could do a whole year. I could do 12 months straight about penitentiary games, the games people play in prison. You guys see, I'm not at the studio today. I'm in my backyard enjoying this nice weather. And yeah, there's so many games people play in prison, but the majority of time, the games, they could be, people play games to try to get something out of someone. There's nothing free in the penitentiary. Let me tell you that off the bat. There is nothing free in the penitentiary. Even when someone asks you, come on, come take a walk with me. When you hear them words, let's take a lap together. You walking on the yard, you better believe they're going to be asking you for something, some kind of favor, especially me. So my reputation in prison, every prison I went to was when I got to a yard, I was known, and I'm not trying to blow my own horn. I'm not trying to make myself look better, and I'm not condoning what I did in prison. But every time I hit a yard, my name was ringing in prison for being the man. And what I mean by that is the dope man, the phone man, the tobacco man. I always had something going on. And I always made a way to get something in the penitentiary to sell, to make money. I was in there by myself this last time. I didn't have a wife. This was the only time I wasn't married in the penitentiary my last 10 years. So you got to get creative. And I was always a creative person since I was little. So I always had ways, and it was a manipulation factor. I always manipulated my way into making something happen in prison. You guys see I'm not smoking bugler today. The store didn't have it where I went to. But anyways, let me finish this story. Let me start this story. So I always was known to have the bag in prison. Whether it be, when I first went to prison, heroin was the main drug of choice for convicts in prison. By the time I left, tobacco, this was the drug of choice in prison. And back in the 80s and 90s, crystal methamphetamine was a white and a Mexican drug. But by the time I left the penitentiary, every race in there was on crystal. And it was crazy to me. We call it Christina Aguilera. That's what we call crystal meth. We call that Christina Aguilera. That's the nickname we gave crystal in prison. And on the streets now, it boiled over to the streets. Everyone calls that Christina Aguilera. So anyway, I'm going to tell you this story about how I had lost my phone. And I lost my phone because I had I'm going to give you two stories today. I'm going to give you a story about my relationship with the Southsiders and the manipulation tactic. And I'm going to give you a story about a brother. So I'm giving you two stories. Let me give you the first story. The first story is I was in Lancaster. I was in Lancaster in 2000. Let me see. 2013, I believe. I believe it was around 2013. I got to Lancaster. Let's just say December, the end of 2013. I'm not for sure on the dates now. I might have it mixed up. You got to understand, I was in 11 or 12 prisons in my 9-year, 8-month sentence. I was moved around so much. The longest I ever stayed at a prison was 1.5 years. So I was being constantly moved from prison to prison, all main lines, all level 4, all level 3 prisons, 180s, 270s, and level 3 prisons. That's all I've ever hit. In all my time going to prison since 1989. Never been on nothing less than a level 3 yard up to level 4, 180. Been in the shoe plenty of times. And I don't want you guys to get the idea that I'm bragging or boasting about my prison conduct, because looking back now, it was a survival tactic. Everything I did in prison, everything I do on the street is a survival tactic. So I was merely surviving on my own for 9 years, 8 months while I was locked up the last time. My last sentence was 15 years. 4 months, and I ended up doing 9 years, 8 months, and 22 days because of Prop 47 came out and it eliminated 4 of my felonies, and they was dropped to misdemeanors, so they took 3 years off my sentence. That's the only reason why I got home at 9 years. I was supposed to do 12 years on it. So let me give you the first scenario. I get to Lancaster, and mind you, I'm coming off a level 3 yard where everything, I went from Donovan, level 3 mainline yard to Lancaster. And I had it my way at Donovan. So when I left Donovan, I left with a zip and a half of black, negro, and 2 zips of Christina Aguilera, and 2 phones, and 2 or 3 cans of tobacco. Now, this is all packed in my property because I found out in Lancaster, when you get off the bus, at that time, they gave you your property right off the bus. You didn't have to wait 2 or 3 days, a week to get your property. They just handed it to you, and they went through it right there. And I knew how to pack my shit. Everyone learns how to pack different contraband and different items where police really don't fuck with them items. Excuse my French. Okay, so I get to Lancaster. I get there with the sack. When I get to Lancaster, they have nothing on the yard. There's nothing on the yard, but a few people have phones, but there's no tobacco, there's no drugs, and it's cold as hell outside, right? So when I first get to Lancaster, let me back up a little bit. So when I leave Donovan, my homie G-Man, big G-Man from 29th Street, I move him in the cell next to me because he asked, I was on single cell status. So I moved him in the cell next to me. I gave him a phone, gave him a can of tobacco, and we was good. But because I got 2 or 3 fights up there, my points raised up to level 4. So I was up for transfer to Lancaster. He just left from Lancaster and came from Lancaster to Donovan. And he told me his cellie was cool as hell. His name was Little Man from Pomona. He was like, dog, let's call down there. So we called down there. So they already knew, the fellas already knew I was on my way to Lancaster. And Little Man was still in the cell by himself because G-Man just left. He said he'd hold it open. We talked for a few days. And I ultimately went down to Lancaster and moved in the homie G-Man's old cell with his old cellie, Little Man from Pomona. Crip. He's a Crip dude. I got another story about Little Man too, a crazy ass story, but I'm not going to get into that. This is penitentiary games. This is how people play penitentiary games. So anyone in the state of California knows Southsiders and whites really don't do business or congregate with Crips. As you know, I was a Crip in prison. Been a Crip since 1983. So I get to Lancaster, and there's no Northerners on our yard. I think I was on B yard. Let me see. I think I was on B yard, if I'm not mistaken. I got to look at either A yard or B yard. I wasn't on C yard, I don't think. I think A yard or B yard. It was a level 4 270. If anyone knows about Lancaster in 2013, tap in and leave it in the comments. What yard was a 270 level 4 yard back in 2013 around that time? Anyways, so I get there. Moving the cell with Little Man. As soon as I get there, I got a lot of shit. I got 7 boxes. He's supposed to only have 4 boxes, but I had a lot of legal mail. I had 2 boxes of legal mail, 5 boxes of personal belongings. And when I get there, I move in the cell with Little Man, and I'm unpacking my shit, and we're talking, and he don't have a horn. He's doing kind of bad, and he had a lot of time, and his whole family was in jail because they had a big case out of Pomona. His grandmother was the cocaine queen out of Pomona, and she had time. She was in jail. His mama had time. His aunties, all his relatives was in jail. So he was doing kind of bad, not super bad, but, and I knew that before I got there. And that don't matter to me because I'm going to make something happen. I already had the sack, right? So I get there and we vibe immediately. We start vibing in the cell. We're talking about his hood, my hood, what's going on in the penitentiary. And when I get to someone else's cell, he gave me the bottom bunk, by the way. Probably because I was a little bit older than him, probably like 8, 9 years older than him. Anyways, we're vibing and he's giving me the rundown of the prison. He's telling me what homies I had there, which I already knew. I had a head count. of all the NCs. Let me get into that. So in prison, because I'm on 29th Street, Garden Block, the majority of us from my hood run NC. That's NC. And what that NC means is Northern Crip. And our symbol is the North Carolina Tar Heels. You see a lot of my homies have NC on their chest, on their arm. A lot of my homies run NC, Northern Crip. Some of them don't. Some of them don't like the bullshit, the politics involved in it, because there's a lot of politics involved. But anyway, at the time, I was running NC. So I get there, I have a head count. There was 16 of us on that yard, NCs. And my homie, Tiny Poop, was there, but he was in another building. Attitude was there, Little Attitude was there. I'm not gonna name all the names that was there because it's irrelevant to this story. So I get there and I immediately shoot the homie Tiny Poop. Oh, and the homie Mackin. That was my little dude, Mackin. What's up, Mackin? If you're watching this, Mackin should be coming home. He had a murder case at Rudder Park, and he's coming home. He got a 15-year sentence. He's on his way out. So I immediately, because I messed with Mackin, and I messed with Tiny Poop, I know them cats for a long time. I immediately bless them and shoot them out a couple grams a piece of some black and some Christina Aguilera, right? Now, mind you, they don't have, Mackin got a phone. Tiny Poop don't have a phone. So I'm shooting one of my phones over to Tiny Poop, and we're congregating. He's trying to get in the building. I'm telling him, no, I need you in that building. I don't need no homies from my hood in my building because I'm regulating the building. I got Little Man with my sack. I'm giving him 4 grams a day of Blizzak and Christina Aguilera. He's going out. He's bringing all the canteen, all the green dots back. Okay, so he's selling to the Southern Mexicans. The majority of people buying from us is Southern Mexicans. Sean Gunn. I heard Washington, D.C. blacks knock out gangbangers, then drag them in a cell, then sodomize them on all level 3 or level 4 prison yards. Is that right? All right. Yeah, all right, Sean. You stay up, homie. You stay blessed in your journey, homie. I can see you as a youngster. James Smith, what's up, homie? Tiny Poop's still in jail, bro. He's in he's in I talked to Tiny Poop like 6 months ago. He was in New Folsom. He's back in New Folsom. Anyways, so let me get on with this story. I'll address you later on, youngster, Sean Gunn. Anyways, so I got Little Man out there, and he's pushing the sack, and he's selling to mostly Serenos. So there was this one Southsider there. I'm not gonna say his name because of what ended up happening. This Southsider became real cool with Little Man, and like I said, it's against their rules, not our rules. It's against the Southsiders' rules to do business, borrow anything, smoke after, eat after, really even associate with Crips. So this one Southsider, he had a lot of swag about him, and he wasn't like a Southsider. He was from LA. I'm not even gonna say his hood, but he was a youngster. He was like 25 years old, and his cellie had a clap. If you guys don't know what clap means, you guys never been to the penitentiary. You guys never been to California prison system. I advise you not to go to California prison system and find out what clap means. A clap means a phone. We call phones claps in prison, so the COs don't know what we're talking about. By now, they probably know what clap means. But anyway, so we sitting on a level 4 yard, and the Southsider has swag, and he didn't look like, he didn't act like, and he didn't wear his clothes like a regular Southsider. He has swag about him, and he reminded me of a brother. So Little Man, my cellie, was cool with this cat. And they got so cool that during day room, this cat would come to my cell and be on our door and chopping it up with Little Man. So I took a liking to this cat, man. And then me and him got cool. After about 6 months, me and him got real cool. And little man used to front him whatever he wanted, and he would come back and pay. He had money, his family had money, and he would pay every time. Well, he didn't have a phone, and his celly did. His celly was like the number 2 guy for the Southsiders in there. He was not the number 1 guy, but he was the number 2 guy, and he was in the cell with this cat. And I guess he was in there because he was young, he was getting laced or whatnot. And his celly was real stingy with his phone, with his celly. He wouldn't let his celly use the phone all the time, right? So one day, this is manipulation at its finest. Now, let me back up a little bit. There's this Russian CO. You guys don't know what CO means. You guys never been to the penitentiary. I advise you not to go to the penitentiary. A CO means correction officer. A correction officer in our eyes are the enemies. So we got a Russian CO, and he was a phone bandit. When he only worked in our building 2 days a week. Second watch. Second watch is about 2 o'clock to about 10 o'clock at night. And them is the hours when he worked, we put our shit up. So happens this day wasn't his day to work, but he walked in the building. And okay, let me back up again. I had a cat. There's a picture of him too on my shit. His name was Cuckoo from East Coast. And Cuckoo was in a wheelchair. Cuckoo had a stroke or something happened, and his right arm and his right leg was paralyzed. So he could barely walk, and he had a wheelchair. Sometimes he'd push it with one arm, but I would usually go over there to Cuckoo's cell and help him clean his cell, and I push him to chow when we went to chow on chicken days. We only went to chow on chicken days. Me and anyone I associated with, and there was 2 more NCs in the building. I take that back. There was Sean from San Jose, 7 Trees, and old boy from North Highlands. What was his name? You know, so they both had double life sentences. They was never getting out, but they was next door to Cuckoo. I got a story about Cuckoo too, and Sean and his celly. I got to think of his celly's name. He's from Sacramento. He's from North Highlands, and they both was NC. Anyway, so Cuckoo was in a wheelchair, and sometimes I would go help Cuckoo clean his cell because he was in the cell by himself too. And just so happened this day where the Russian CO wasn't supposed to work, I had my door, it was day room time. I had my door wide open. Cuckoo had his door wide open, and I'm over there cleaning his cell. Now my celly was out there playing dominoes in the table. Okay, so the day room is designed like this. There's a back wall. It's called B. So it's A, B, and C, and it's an open building, and it's A. The first wall is A, and that's cell 1 through 25, then 26 through 50, and then I think there's 150 cells in each building, 75 on the bottom. So anyway, Cuckoo was on B bank, I was on C bank. So in the day room, the Southsiders, they programmed on A bank. The blacks and the others programmed on C bank. So my door's open. Pookie, not Tiny Pookie, little man is playing chess right in front of my door. My door's open, and I'm at Cuckoo's cell, chopping it up, helping him clean his cell. So we see the Russian CO walk through the rotunda. Immediately, now mind you, immediately when we see him, we put everything up. I didn't have time. So I'm gonna tell you what happened before this happened. Why little man was playing chess, the Southern Mexican that was cool with us came down the stairs and came to our side and asked little man, could we charge his celly's phone for him? They didn't have a phone charger, but they did have a phone. And of course, little man came to me and asked me, can we charge this cat's phone for him? And I was like, nah, not at first. I was like, nah. He's like, nah, it's cool. Just charge it for 15, 30 minutes for him. But my door's wide open. Now my charger, I had a towel at the end of my bunk. I'm on the bottom bunk. I had a towel at the end of my bunk. And the plug was on the wall when you first walk in by the light switch, but I had an extension cord. So I kept my phone charger right there, and it was a little bitty phone charger about this long. So I had my phone tucked. It was already tucked. It wasn't in my cell. But this Southsider that we fucked with, his celly was out on the yard. And this cat came and asked, can we charge the phone? Because he needed to use the phone. What I didn't know was that he didn't have permission to use his celly's phone. That fool went and got his celly's phone out of his stash spot and brought it down there for us to charge. And then he was going to go up there and handle his business, right? It didn't work out like that, though. This is where penitentiary rules come into effect. You should never violate the penitentiary rules that other factions may imply on their people. So the Southsider talked me into letting oh boy, my celly charge his phone for him. I'm in cuckoo cell, and the CO that wasn't supposed to work this day was working overtime. He walked through the rotunda. When he walked through the rotunda, he took a evaluation of all the activity that was going on. You seen him just scan the whole building. You see what doors was open, what doors was closed, who was out in the day room, and he went and put his bag up, and he immediately made a beeline to my cell. Now I'm in cuckoo cell. I already know what time it is. I got the bottom bunk. The phone, the Southsider's phone, and my charger is on the bottom bunk. Charge it, and he's already in my cell. Immediately, little man jumps up. He's like, man, what you doing? He's like, he's putting his gloves on. He's like, I'm gonna search you guys' cell. And little man tried to go in there, and dude was like, nah, you ain't going in there until I'm done searching. Little man's like, man, let me get my cup real quick, because he's gonna snatch it and probably throw it in the toilet, do whatever he had to do. To make a long story short, the Russian CO got the phone off of my bunk with the phone charger. Now, mind you, when I was at Lancaster, I had 2 years left. This was 2000. No, I didn't. I had more than that. Unless I was at Lancaster later than 2006. I might have been at Lancaster 2015. I think I was. I was at Lancaster 2014 or 2015. I didn't have that much time left. Anyways, the CO goes in there and finds the phone and the charger. Yellow mushroom. Good looking. Okay, I'll address you. Yeah. Hey, if you guys like this story, cash out me $1. Just cash out me $1. Let me know you guys are interested in my stories, man. $1. All you got to do is cash out. It's going across the bottom. Josiah wants some. Just cash out me $1. Let me know you appreciate this story. $1. You guys throw that away. Anyways, and if you already haven't hit that like button, bam, hit that like button one time. Comment if you can. If you're at work, I understand you can't comment, but subscribe to the channel. Let me know you're supporting the channel. But in the meantime, send me $1. Send me $1 on the Cash App. $1 don't mean nothing to y'all. I know you guys got $1 in your Cash App. If you don't have Cash App, don't worry about it. Anyways, so the CO goes in there and he finds the Southsider that we mess with, Celly's phone. That's an issue. That's a big issue right here. First of all, he didn't have permission getting his Celly's phone. Second of all, his Celly is the #2 Southsider Sereno on the yard for the whole yard, not just the building. He was the #2. He wasn't the #1. The #1 was an old man. They called him Viejo. But the #2, he was probably in his 50s, and he was a serious cat. He never smiled. He was all about his business, and he had this jumps in the cell that went behind his back. It took his phone. Now his phone just got took in my cell. This becomes an issue, a very big issue. So, while the youngster that actually had his phone in my cell is watching my cell get hit, he calls me over there to cuckoo cell. He comes over to cuckoo cell on me. He's like sweating. He's nervous. He's like, man, did he get it? I'm like, look, man, he's in there. I mean, it's right there. You know where it's at. You seen where my celly put it, and he's pacing. He's like, man, we got to come up with an excuse why you guys had the phone and whoop, 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 whoop. And I'm like, bruh, there is no excuse why we had the phone. He said, nah, I'm gonna get my cell hit right now. I said, bro, what you mean that if you ain't got a phone in there, there's gonna be no write-up? He said, I'm gonna go borrow someone. He was trying. He wanted to go borrow. He wanted to borrow my phone to take up to his cell and get hit with my phone. But he wasn't thinking correctly, because when you get caught with the phone and you get a 115, if you guys don't know what a 115 is, you guys never been to the penitentiary. If you guys never been to the penitentiary, I suggest you guys don't go to the penitentiary to find out what a 115 is. A 115 is a RVR, a rules violation report. And depending on what level it is, it starts at Division F and it goes to Division B. At this time, when you got caught with the phone, it was a Division D, I think. It used to be a Division E and you used to lose 30 days. Now you lose 6 months and you don't get it back if you get caught with a phone. At least when I left in 2018, that's what it was. Can you hear me now? I see that. Hey, up high, I'll answer all these questions when I'm done with this this story, homie. I'll answer all these questions for you. It's too many comments right now. Anyways, so this is a true story, by the way. Nothing on it. I'm not putting nothing on this story. This is freshly in the front of my head because it was a serious situation. So what happens is, he don't get no one's phone. He can't borrow no one's phone, and no one's willing to let him use their phone to lose it. He's talking about paying at the time. Phones were $4,000 at Lancaster. That's $4,000 a phone, and I had 2 of them. I had my backup phone that I used to rent. I always had 2 phones. I had what we call as a community phone. A community phone is something I made my money with. I would rent it out for $100 a day or a night. You could keep it overnight. You give me a green dot. We didn't have Cash App in prison when I was there, I don't believe. I think we had PayPal, we had a green dot, and we had something else. What else did we have? We had three different ways we get money, and it's immediate. They give me the numbers. Their wife go get the numbers, or their mom, and I load it on my card, and that's how we rock. Was it yeah, I think it was green dot at the time. So anyway, phones were $4,000. So the Southern Mexican, his cellie comes in, and they immediately go up to the cell, get their shower stuff, and dude is still downstairs. The one that lost his phone is still down there chopping it up with me. I don't want to be seen talking to this cat when all his people come in the building. There's already 4 or 5 Southsiders in the building, and they're watching his movements, and he's coming to my side of the building, and he's talking to Crip, so he's making himself look very suspicious. So this is what happens. This is daytime. This is second watch just got there. So I think 3:30 or 4 o'clock, the prison locks down for count, and then after count, they release for chow. After chow, they release for night day room. Of course, I don't go to chow. It ain't chicken day. So me and Lil Man's in there, and I'm really tripping about my charger. I had another charger, but I had 2 different phones in the cell, and they both needed 2 different chargers. He just got my charger took to my main phone. So I got my backup phone, my community phone, with the charger that fits in that, but it don't fit in this other phone, my main phone. And it's fully charged, but still, I'm going to need another charger, and he's going to have to pay for it. But I'm not knowing what's to come. And I should have seen this from a mile away. So the day goes on, count time goes on, they release for chow. They go to chow, and why they're going to chow. Now everyone in the building knows I only go to chow on chicken day, chicken on the bone day, not chicken patties, nothing else, but a quarter. They call it a quarter chicken. You get baked chicken on the bone, and that's the only time I go. I bring my chicken back. I buy 2 or 3 people's chicken for some soups or some beans, and I make a meal out of it. I make burritos, chicken burritos out of the chicken. I have a cook in there. He brings back the cheese, the onions, everything, and he makes burritos for me with the chicken and beans. So anyway, while they going to chow, they're releasing for chow. Chow time, chow time. Everyone's going. This Southsider comes to my door. He's like, "Hey, dog, roll with me to chow. Roll with you to chow. We gonna walk to chow together? You don't even supposed to be doing business with us, and you want me to? Nah, that ain't gonna happen." He said, "Man, walk with me to chow." And my celly, little man, he's like, "Dog, I'm gonna go on it." And little man used to work in the kitchen. Little man used to work in the kitchen it late at night. They'd call him like 3 in the morning. I think he was on the sandwich crew or something, or go make breakfast. But he would leave at 3 in the morning. He wouldn't come back till 9 in the morning. So little man like, "I'm gonna go to chow," and I'm like, "Man, So they talked me into going to chow, and me walking with the Southsider, right? It's not a good look. Everybody's watching me. I'm watching everybody, and they're watching me and the Southsider walk to chow with little man, and we all chopping up. And you can tell this dude is nervous as hell. He's like, man, my celly found out the phone is missing, man, and I had to tell him that I let you borrow the phone. What? You let what? He said, I told him that because he knows that we be buying that stuff from you. And I told him that your phones was in a different building and you needed to make emergency. I said, wait a minute, bro. Wait 1 minute. Nah, bro. He said, no, I'm going to pay for the phone. I said, check this out, bro. First of all, I don't ask you guys for anything because I know the rules. There's a line. There's a line in prison. And once someone makes that line and that's saying that you don't supposed to be doing business with their people, you don't supposed to be doing business with their people. And dude didn't take heed to this. Now he's putting us in the mix. And I'm telling him, and little man, this ain't gonna happen, bro. We are not vouching for it. Well, I'm not confirming that situation right there. I didn't ask you to lose nothing, and little man didn't ask you to lose nothing. And little man's like, wait, dog. I'm like, there's no more conversation after that. So I spin off with Cuckoo in the wheelchair, and I continue my journey. And them two, they I leave them walking. So I don't even want to talk to this dude no more. He ain't gonna put me in a position. So when we get back from chow, I'm trying to get back to chow very fast. Now, not only did he get my phone charger took, but now I'm gonna get a 115, an RVR write-up. And that's 6 months off my sentence for being nice and letting this cat charge his phone. Because the write-up is gonna come to me because it was on my bunk and everyone knew, all the cops knew I had the bottom bunk. So I had to find my way around this write-up, and I did. I got the write-up dropped. Anyway, I'm gonna tell you about that right now too. So anyway, we go back after chow. I don't know, maybe an hour or so goes by, and they open the day room. Now this is the part where usually I go take a shower and I come back in my cell and I get on my phone and I do my thing on my phone. I'm constantly on my phone. I hardly ever go to yard. I might go to yard once a week just to go check and see what the fellas is doing, see if anyone needs anything. Go check in once a week on the yard. Maybe twice a week sometimes. At Lancaster, it was a lot of bullshit at Lancaster. So I try to stay out the way. Mind you, I try to stay out the way on every yard I went to, but I always had the sack. But I was smart. The whole yard didn't know I had the sack. I always found someone. I always found either a celly or someone in another building, an old cat. They didn't have nothing. And I'd have them hold my shit and I'd have someone else sell it. That way, all the homies didn't know I had the sack. I always had money and they didn't know how I was making my money. So anyway, this is what happens. Day room, 2 minutes to day room, get ready for day room, and they ring a bell. Day room in 2 minutes. So I get my shower shit like every day. I'm going about this day just like I do every other day. Mind you, my cell is one cell away from the black shower. So I'm always the first one at the shower because I just step out my cell, step one cell over, and I'm at the shower door. So I get my stuff. When the door opens, see, you got to put your ID in the window if you want to come to day room. So both me and little man don't miss a day room or a yard. He's a yard bum. He goes to yard every time because he's out there hustling, right? So what I do is I go straight to the shower. I get in the shower, and when I get in the shower, I'm looking, and everything don't seem. It seems like something's going on, and I know what it is. It's about this phone. All the South Side, and usually all the Southsiders don't come out for night day room. Some are in there doing their homework. Some is in there, kicking back. They worked all day, so all the Southsiders are out of their cell, and I'm like, damn. And there's a lot of them at Lancaster. I was in building 2. And I believe B yard, A yard, or B yard. I think I was on A yard building 2. That's where I was in Lancaster. I believe it was A yard. I might be mistaken though. Yellow mushroom. That ain't a hammer. That's my wind chimes, bro. That ain't no hammer. My bad. I should have took them wind chimes down. Anyways, so the Southsiders, they're all out of their cells. And I'm peeping. So I can't go back in my cell and leave my cellie out there unless he's willing to go back in the cell. So I go out there and I'm watching little man play. He's a chess player. He's out there playing chess and shit. So I'm posted up in back of him watching him playing chess. Right before one of the unlocks, I tell little man, come on, man, let's go in the cell. He's like, all right, so we go in the cell. Soon as we go in the cell, all right, yellow mushroom. Soon as we go in the cell, the number 2 Southsider and 2 of his homies walk up to my cell. Ting, 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 ting. Hey, can I holler at you? Shit, you ain't. I'm lotioning up. I'm putting my shit on. I'm lotioning up. I'm like, little man, get out, man. Go see what they want. So little man's at the door and he's whispering through the crack of the door and he's talking to him. And he's like, hey, dog, they want to holler at you. Shit, what they want to holler at me for, little man? He's like, I don't know, but the number 2 is down here. Like, number 2? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, man, I ain't got nothing to say. He's like, man, dog, he wants to holler at you. And you can't be disrespectful and not holler at someone that's at your door, man. So I go to the door, and the words that came out of his mouth, per verbatim, is, hey, dog, I know who you are. I ran a check on you. You straight with us. We ain't got no problems with you, man. The problem is my cellie. He's like, I need to know. I need to see the write-up, the 115, when you guys get the 115. I need to see the write-up because he's saying that he let you guys as in plural, use the phone because your phone was in another building. You guys got it took. He's going to pay for the phone, but I need to see the 115. But between me and you, he's getting whacked. First of all, that's a rules violation. You just told me about your personal business, about your car. You don't supposed to tell me anything about what you're going to do to your own people. I don't want to know that, and you shouldn't want to tell me that. So now I'm thinking there's another ulterior motive going. He wants to see my 115. Shit, you ain't going. I'm not obligated to show anybody except my people my rules violation report, my RVR. We call them 115s. I'm just letting you guys know what everyone, the administration calls them RVR. I'm not obligated for that, so I got a problem with that, and I tell them, I'm not comfortable letting you see my information. And he's like, man, look, man, it'll be something in it. I'm like, look, man, my charger was taken in this. He's like, what do you mean? And I told him, man, my charger was I understand I wasn't in the cell, but my understanding is my cellie told me that my charger was charging that phone when it got taken. And so I need someone to pay for my charger, man. He's like, well, we'll deal with that later. Right now, I need to see the 115 when you guys get it. And my cellie was out of pocket because I didn't give him permission to get the phone and use the phone, and let alone let you guys use the phone. He got my phone took, man. My family ain't got money to replace that phone, and he just gave me a spiel. He's giving me too much information, though. That's none of my business. And I'm gonna tell you one thing about Southsiders. This incident right here blew my mind because I've been doing a lot of time and I've never seen Southsiders expose their hand like that, telling me they gonna whack their own like that. And he's knowing how close my cellie is to his cellie. So I'm thinking he wants his cellie to know that, so they don't gotta whack him, so he has a chance to roll it up and PC up. That's what I'm thinking, but I'm not sure yet, right? So when he walks away from the door, I kind of get mad at my cellie, man. I'm like, man, you got me in this position. He's like, dog, I'm gonna take the 115. I'm gonna take the write-up. I'm gonna tell him that was my shit, and that is my 115. And I was cool with that, but I'm still very upset that now this could become a situation, a serious situation. And mind you, I got tobacco, I got 2 phones in the cell, I got hair on, and I got Christina Aguilera in the cell. So it's like, I don't need this kind of heat on my cell by nobody. Now the police think that they know we had a cell phone in the cell. But what I didn't factor in in this whole thing is police could get in your phone. If it's not an iPhone, the police got these machines that break the unlock codes. They had a machine in all the prisons to unlock the codes. So I'm not thinking, man, these cats is Mexican and they got all they people's numbers and LA numbers in their phone and pictures and shit. They gonna know that wasn't our phone. They gonna find out who phone that is. And I didn't factor that in until the 115 hearing came. So what I'm gonna do, if you guys want to hear the rest of this story, I'm gonna do a part 3 and probably a part 4 and a part 5. I gotta cut this short. This story gets very interesting. It's already been 40 minutes. So if you already haven't hit that like button, hit that like button. This story gets very interesting. So check out part 3 and part 4 of Penitentiary games, man. I could go on and on about these games, but this situation gets very serious. If you haven't hit that like button, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. All right, Yellow Mushroom. And if you can afford it, why don't you, if you like this story, cash out me $1, man. My cash app is going across the bottom of the screen. Just cash out me $1 to show your appreciation of my stories. And if you already haven't subscribed to 12 Rounds of Adrenaline with me and Tony the Tiger Lopez, the 3-time world champion, click on over to 12 Rounds of Adrenaline. Check out our interview yesterday about the Raleigh fight. Me and his channel is a little bit, it's a podcast. It's a lot bit different to this Prison Yard TV channel. But like I said, cash out me $1 and let me know you like these stories. And I really appreciate all you guys' support. If not, hit that like button, hit that, leave a comment. I see you, James. You're always with me. Yellow Mushroom, I appreciate it. Sweden don't have Cash App. Okay, I appreciate it though. Sweden don't have, I thought everywhere in the world had Cash App. So stay tuned. Stay blessed. Yep, you're right. I was going to forget that, James. Stay blessed. Tell the people you love them. And stay tuned. I'm going to put part 3 up in a little while tonight. I just don't want these videos to go this long, 45 minutes or less. I was told that. So check out part 3 in about an hour. Love y'all. Stay blessed.